Nothing like recording an entire 30-minute power rankings for only the video not to work. Yeah. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another power rankings for December. I might seem a bit frustrated when you record 30 minutes of your time and get ready to upload it, and then it just says doesn't work. Might piss you off. So power rankings, I'm going to try to sound as joyful as possible, especially after the Hawks loss and their horrifying and horrendous goaltending between Delia and Soderblom. I give credit to Soderblom for actually saving something. So not really the greatest start to the year, but we'll move past it. We can move past this, and let's get started with this power rankings with the number 32 team, who I believe has moved down one spot. We have Montreal. This might be a speed through round. I'm going to try to do as most as I can, but also trying to speed it up because, as I said before, 30 minutes of my time was a lot. Montreal, they just don't have the effort that they did last playoffs, that's for sure. Nothing's gone right, and it's the reason why the team, Arizona, who has moved down 2 spots from last time, has moved up a spot. Well, it's not 32nd, because Arizona is 32nd in the league in points. However, I believe they have a much better work ethic than the Montreal. Montreal just kind of knows this year's done, while at least Arizona believes that if they could just prove something that they're not the overall garbage that everyone says. And Keller's looking good. Kessel's didn't okay, and Boyd on Arizona's looks pretty good. So maybe that'll be a piece that either they ship out at the deadline or keep for when they in their rebuild. Number 30, we have Ottawa, who has moved up 2 spots. They were in 32nd last month. Ottawa, if any team's going to go on a run out of those bottom 3, it's them. They've looked better, not great, but better. They've won a few games here and there, and these are just kind of the bottom 3 teams in the league, and they're kind of just the ones that are for sure down and out in the bottom row. Everyone in this row is kind of the ones that are pretty much done. You got the mediocre teams that could go on a run here. Well, the split in the middle, which we'll get to. Then we got the teams that are in the playoffs, and we got the contenders, as we've stated previously. Those are just the ways I kind of rank these. Moving down 2 spots. Sorry about that, guys. Little interruption. Number 29, moving down 2 spots from last time, Seattle. Tanev's out for the season, torn ACL. That sucks. Best defensive forward, one of the top 10 in the league, I'd say. And maybe not top 10, maybe top 15, top 20. And he's also had an offensive push to him this year, so he's been better in Seattle and more offensive than he was in Pittsburgh. And there's another team that's just kind of struggling. They're an expansion team. They'll be good 4 or 5 years down the road. The kind of the opposite of what route that Vegas took. Vegas took the unexpectedly, we're going to win now. No one knew at the time that team was going to be any good, and then they nearly won the Western Conference in the regular season. Seattle, on the other hand, you could tell from their picks they were trying to be good down the road. Anyway, moving down 4 spots, we have Buffalo. They're not what they were at the start of the season. Great work ethic, like Arizona. Great work ethic, and they've proved a lot of people wrong in what they could do this year. They're still 6th in their division. Ottawa and Montreal are still beneath them, but Buffalo, they've kind of just fallen off. You knew it was going to happen eventually. That they always start good off at the start of the season, especially this year when everyone knew they were going to be bad, and it's kind of caught up with them now. And moving down 1 spot from last time, Chicago. Disappointment. That's all I can say about Chicago. Back and forth win-loss up until the Nashville and Dallas overtime games where they lost both. Chicago just can't find a formula. Fleury and Lankinen were both in protocol for this game, so Delia and Soderblom were the goaltending for today, and it was brutal. At least Soderblom made some saves. But, that's kind of just summed up the Chicago. If that's the way the new year is going to go, I'm praying. And, Chicago's first start to the year, not the greatest, underachieving and without question in my eyes. bringing in Seth Jones, Fleury. Fleury's been great. Lankinen's been not what he was last year. And yeah, it's really just a bunch of Kane's looked somewhat invisible the last couple games. Taves has been better. DeBricket's been good. Hagel has been in and out depending on what days he shows up. Even though he's not really paid as a goal scorer yet, he's the one. He's got 16 points on the season already. I think it's 16. He might have more than that, but yeah, Hagel's been good. He's given a lot of effort. Apologies again, guys. So yeah, moving up 2 spots from last time, we have the New York Islanders. Another team that not much has gone right for, like Chicago. They're expected to be pretty good this year and kind of just fallen out. And yeah, the Islanders are just kind of it's like they've just kind of just fallen off the map in a way. They were conference finals back-to-back year. People that said they were going to go to the final this year, and they're finally going to beat Tampa, and they had to beat Florida as well, and they were going to do it because they're so good defensively, and then it just did not happen whatsoever. Yeah, the Islanders are just like Chicago, just kind of basically the same story, both expected to be a lot better than they were, and that they are. Moving down 2 spots, we have the Devils. Jack Hughes is back. He's been great. Hughes has looked great. Going to be a superstar in the league, no doubt. However, the rest of the team has not gotten the memo. Blackwoods have been almost figured out, and it's like he was good last year, and it looked like he was going to be a star goaltender, maybe possibly Vezina finalist in the future, in my opinion. It looked great against Chicago and whatever year that was, and yeah, there's really nothing else to say about that. None of the team really has showed up. Dougie Hamilton's been pretty good, but yeah, much of the rest of the team has kind of showed up. And Devils expected to be better, but not as good as I think some of the other teams are lower than them. Ottawa was expected to be better than them. Montreal, Islanders, without question, and Buffalo, no. But Devils, kind of where I expected them around 22 to 24. In the bottom row, I did not. So, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate for them, and maybe things will get better next year. Maybe go after another free agent next year. They got Hamilton this year. They're going to have cap. They're going to, without question, you're eventually going to have cap space. Unless maybe if you move Subban, you bring in someone, or maybe sell if someone's looking for something at the deadline. Maybe Arizona will give something up to take on Subban's contract for a pick, but I doubt New Jersey's going to want to do that with that. So, yeah. Number 24, moving down 5 spots, Columbus. Now we get into the hard area where I try to ramble on about teams. New Jersey, I was just kind of rambling on there because I would even put them here, but since there's 32 teams, I can't put them in 25 because 25 more belongs right here, while the teams that kind of suck right now belong really here. But yeah, New Jersey, I was just kind of rambling about possible things that are not going to happen. I know they weren't. I was just kind of thinking of stuff to say off the top of my head. While Columbus, they're a strange story. They started off the year pretty well, then they got better, and then they've kind of gotten worse. It's like they've kind of like, their momentum's kind of given out. Lonnie's been okay, Domi's been okay, Jones is gone still, and their defense has looked fine. Boqvist has done pretty well, I've seen in Columbus. He just came off the injury. And yeah, Columbus, a mediocre team. That's kind of what they've been pretty much their entire, or either that or just bad. But Columbus has been, I'd say, better than expected, definitely in my opinion. And maybe they're definitely a team that can go on a run. Any of these teams in this row can go on a run. That's kind of the way I've seen it. However, there's a middle ground here, which we'll get to. Moving down 3 spots from last time, we have Detroit. Detroit has been, I don't know, they've definitely been mediocre. They're above 500, but their goal differential's horrible. It's like minus, I want to say, 25 or something like that. And yeah, they started off the year really good, and people expected them to be worse than Ottawa, and I thought that was BS. I thought Detroit looks a lot better than Ottawa on paper. Like, Ottawa has a lot of young guys, but Detroit, with Steve Yzerman as GM, are going to do great things in the near future. And his moves like bringing in Pew Suter from Chicago has looked good. Leddy is a veteran on the defense, along with Mark Stahl. Both of them have are a veteran presence. Letty's someone who has championship experience with the Hawks. And, Larkins looked good. Lucas Raymond, Calder winner, essentially, at this point, if it was called. And, yeah, that's really all I have to say about Detroit. I'm going to bring in the next two together. Actually, I'll bring in... No, that's different. Actually, no. I'll bring in Winnipeg by themselves as they move down 4 spots. Underachievers like Chicago. And also moving up 4 spots. Is that right? Yeah, moving up 4 spots is Philadelphia. Both have lost their coach. Paul Maurice resigned from Winnipeg because of their underachieving. Philadelphia fired their coach and now is replaced with Mike Yeo. I don't really know how to describe either of these teams. Philadelphia was expected because they missed the playoffs last year to be bad. But since their consistent playoff experience of every other year, this year is supposed to be the year that they also make it. But they also have just kind of bottomed out, and they've not been great. New coach usually will give you a bit of energy. Did it for 2 games, and then they've gone back to the old ways, it looks like. Winnipeg, I don't really know what to say about them. Connor and Ehlers look great. Wheeler, Scheifele, I haven't heard much about them when I have been watching other games. And the one game in which the Hawks lost 5-1 to Winnipeg, I think I heard Scheifele's name once at the 3rd period. Other than that, I did not hear his name. So, and I've heard I've seen Winnipeg fans saying it's better than when Wheeler isn't at the lineup. I'm thinking, wow, what a way to say, what's something to say to your captain. And yeah, so Winnipeg and Philadelphia, both, in my opinion, Philadelphia and Winnipeg, on paper, those teams look good, but it just doesn't work on when it comes to the ice. When you see the games and it's just not working. Next up, moving up 4 spots, and then moving down 6 spots, we have San Jose. San Jose, not expected to be anything special. They were in a playoff spot for quite a while. And now they've just kind of slipped back into mediocrity, still have a winning record, and they look good at times, and there's times they when you allow 7 goals against Arizona, it's not really something you can say, hey, we won 8-7 in overtime against Arizona. That's not something that sounds really flashy and sounds possibly a horrific incident that shouldn't be spoken of ever again, and say, we'll take that win, and we'll never speak of it ever again. That's kind of the way I see it. And San Jose's, it's hard to describe them. Definitely all these teams can go on a run. I've said this multiple times, but San Jose, they could either fall out even more or they could win more. It's harder when a lot of the teams are acting the same. For example, 2 perfect examples of this. We have a team that's moved up 4 spots and a team that's moved down 4 spots in LA and Dallas. LA and Dallas will have great win streaks and go 5-6 games above 500, and then will lose 5-6 games in a row and go right back to where they were. Dallas doesn't have Ben and Sagan producing. They have Rope Hintz and Robertson and Heiskanen that have looked good, while Klingberg, while Sagan, Ben, they've looked like they've just stopped playing in a way. In LA, they got a lot of their players have been injured, so that's kind of not been great, but Kopitar's looked good. Kopitar, he's defying age, it looks like. He's been around since I was a young kid. And so yeah, LA and Dallas are kind of like 2 similar teams in this area. San Jose is kind of like the middle between this. You have the teams that definitely can go on a run but might bottom out. You have the teams that are more likely to bottom out than go on a run. And San Jose is right in the middle of that scenario. That's kind of why I made a split right here. And then a team that I don't even think should be in this row, but since you kind of have 8 teams in a row, it's kind of hard to not put them under here. It's because I'd honestly put 17 right here then. But number 17, we have Boston. Up 4 spots from where they were. They keep getting better and better. I'd say they're a team that goes 2-1 every week, and maybe will once in a while go 1-1-1. But they're staying above 500. They're in a playoff spot. They're competing. They've had some struggles, but they've been able to overcome them. Their strategy of keeping Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand as a one-team line is somehow working, and somehow always does. Taylor Hall's not been the greatest thing on earth, but they've still been able to win games, and Yeah, they're in a playoff spot in the Atlantic. No one thought. I don't think many people thought there'd be 4 spots in the Atlantic that are going to the playoffs or might go to the playoffs. And right now, Boston's making it so. Number 16, finally in the playoff hunt, moving up 14 spots. We have 14 spots. Yes, the Vancouver Canucks. This is what I see in this team. The reason I have them up here, usually like move them up a little bit over time and it's like that thing. I believe in this team. With Bruce Boudreau, yes, he's got a legacy of failure on the Irritating Trees channel, but he's been able to take regular season success, and this is a team that's already seen the playoffs, so they already have a little bit of experience. Pedersen, Hughes, Miller, Besser, Höglander, and then Demko and net, as well as Oliver Ekman-Larsson. That group of guys definitely can lead a team to the playoffs. They've gone 7-0-1 under Boudreau, incredible, and they've just turned the entire season around. They're back at 500. Last month they were at 30th. Now they're at 16th, and this is a team that I would root for in the playoffs after seeing what they've gone. I love this team, just the people they have on it, and just now that Boudreau has brought in his system, and it's a successful system in the regular season. In the playoffs, Game 7, just as long as you don't make it 7 games, and it's fine. But that's the Bruce Boudreau joke, if you don't know what I'm talking about. And yeah, Vancouver. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm rooting for you. Moving down 11 spots, and number 15, we have a team that I don't know what's going on. They lost 6 in a row at one point. They've gone like 2-6-2 in their last 10. Wait, that's wrong team. I should probably look at the magnets. Edmonton. And also we can also put in, moving down 8 spots, Calgary. Alberta's fallen off. I don't know what's going on with either of these teams. Last month they were world beaters and contenders, and now they're looking like they might fall out of the playoff hunt. Edmonton is currently in the first wild card. That's how bad things have gotten there. Yeah, this is a team that Edmonton and Calgary have just fallen off. There's really nothing else I can say. Still in playoff spots, definitely teams that can recover. They've been playing great to start the season. That's why they're still in a playoff spot while they've lost so many games recently. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about them. Moving down 1 spot, number 13, we have St. Louis. Same as last month, if you saw what I said last month. A team that I didn't expect to be great, had maybe 6th in the division, and then I also said Nashville would be 7th, but look where we are. And yeah, they've proved me wrong. Another team that's proved me wrong. I said Calgary's proved me wrong. Vancouver is proving me right that I had faith in them. St. Louis is proving me wrong. Winnipeg's proving me wrong. So with San Jose, Dallas is about right where I had them. Yeah, there are a lot of teams have been. We can go over which teams have proved me wrong and right in another video. We can do that at the end of the year, to be honest, after the regular season's over in the playoffs. But St. Louis is a team that finds ways to win, and ways sometimes that there would be games that they shouldn't win that they will win. And I can't. It's not even just one person. That whole team is looking. They play as a team. Whenever I'm watching St. Louis games, I hear multiple names. I hear different names every game. I'll hear Saad. I'll hear Buchnevich. I'll hear Krug. I'll hear Thomas. I'll hear Barbashev. Barbashev's been looking pretty good this year. And yeah, Binnington and the goaltending is probably the only situation that's been hurting the Blues, to be honest. Everything else has looked pretty solid. Now moving up 5 spots, we have the Colorado. Not necessarily in a top 3 spot in the Central yet, but they keep climbing. They were 17th last month. They moved up to 12th. Once they get in that top 3 spot, I will probably move them up into the top 10. But it's going to be hard the way Minnesota, St. Louis, and Nashville are playing. Only reason St. Louis is down there is because I've seen Colorado play better than they have, and I'm just kind of wondering how St. Louis wins some of the games, while Colorado, I expect them to win games going into them. Now, At number 11, we have a team that's the only team that stayed in the same spot, and that's Anaheim. They've lost a few games in a row. They've lost, I think, 3 or 4 in a row now, but I'm not concerned about that. They've played great to start the season. If there's a team that might fall off, it might be Anaheim, but as of right now, they've looked like a team that can be playoff contenders. And, yeah, they've shown that they can, amongst all expectations, prove everyone wrong and making a run at the playoffs the way it's going. And a team that's moved down 7 spots, similar to Anaheim, Minnesota. Number 3 last month, now they're number 10, and that's because they've lost 4 in a row, and other teams keep winning around them. That's kind of how power rankings work. Minnesota, another team I'm rooting for. They got the Winter Classic going on, I believe in 2 minutes it starts, so I'm going to try to finish this up so I can go watch it. Minnesota and Anaheim both have lost 3-4 games in a row. But both, I believe, have the potential to possibly win their division. Anaheim, not so much. Minnesota, yes. The way they've been shown to play, now they're playing the 10 and 13. So they're playing in the Winter Classic at where the Minnesota Twins play of MLB. And yeah, so we'll watch that game once I'm done with this. And moving up 4 spots, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins at number 9. They've won 7 in a row. What else is there to say about them? Completely bounced back from a early slow start, and now that Malkin's going to be coming back soon too, so he'll be helping them even better. So yeah, Pittsburgh, whenever you think you could count them out, they just come back and bite you. That's how it's been the last 15 years. Made the playoffs every year since 2007. And they look like they're ready to keep making it until Crosby's done. Magic. That's the only way to describe the Penguins. Magic. And moving on to the top 8, we had moving down 7 spots. They were number 1 last month. We have Toronto. Toronto hasn't played bad at all by any means. None of these, I would say, Penguins, Toronto up until here, none of these teams have played bad. It's just teams, they'll play each other, and that'll decide some of the outcomes. Toronto was I believe is like number 5 in the league right now, number 6. Yet they've dropped down to 8th because there are teams that have played them that I think that they can be better, and there are teams that are just playing better than them and have been on have had a better last 10 or last few games. And Toronto, nothing to say about them. They can keep doing what they're doing. They'll keep winning. Now, moving up 3 spots, we have Nashville. Dominating win against Chicago today. That doesn't count in it. None of the games that happened today count in it. But Nashville has proved me wrong without question. They've taken, if Minnesota loses today, they take first place in the division, which is, I don't think, what anyone expected. Duchesne's bouncing back. Johansson's bouncing back. Jeannot is the rookie that should be getting Calder consideration, even though he probably won't get it. He definitely should be getting some eyes looking at him. He's getting undercredited. This team has looked good. Sissons came back. Saros has been a beast in net. And Nashville keeps doing what they're doing. They're going to prove everyone wrong and make the playoffs. Moving up 2 spots, we have the Rangers. Again, like Toronto, there's just so many the East is so much better than the West this year. There's only 2 Western teams in the top 8 that, even though I didn't even notice that there was only 1 Eastern team here, and then all the Western teams are just down here. I never noticed that until now. So yeah, the East is just playing the best Eastern teams are playing much better than the Western teams. So that's why the Rangers are at 6th, kind of just similar to Toronto. They keep winning, and they'll find the right formula. Now moving up 11 spots, they've reclaimed their reclaimed their throne as Kings of the West. Vegas, number 1 team in the West currently. Moved up 11 spots. They were in 7th. I want to say they were in 16th last time. That's right. And they now in 5th, best team in the West. And the only reason they're in 5th is because the top 4 teams in the East are just playing incredible right now. It's the only way to say it. And it starts with the team that's moved down 2 spots in Florida. Florida, they haven't been the same since Quenneville was fired, and believe me, I understand why Quenneville was fired. I'm a Chicago Blackhawks fan. But Quenneville had a system. There's a reason he was the 2nd winningest coach of all time, and Florida, with Quenneville was looking unstoppable, and now they just look like any old team with just a ton of talent on their team. The names go on: Barkov, Huberdeau, Weegar, Ekblad, Duclair, Verhaeghe. The names read off, and Spencer Knight in net. They beat Tampa 9-3, and yes, Vasilevsky wasn't in net, but that's not the point here. That beating Tampa 9-3 looked really good from Florida, and they were interstate rivals, so that's always a big thing. The rivalry really hasn't existed until 2021. Now, moving up 4 spots, we have the Hurricanes, so the Hurricanes, like Florida, they've still been kicking ass, and there's really nothing wrong with their game. I would say every team in this row is pretty much in the same category. Any of them could take first in any of the power rankings the way they've been playing. Just certain teams beat certain teams and certain teams lose to certain teams. That's really the only thing that's the difference. And moving up 3 spots, we have Washington. Ovechkin is unstoppable. He's now the all-time power play goals leader. And Washington is, I think they are tied for first in the league currently, because I remember I was reading the standings while doing this, because that also has a part of what this is. And Washington, Tampa, and Carolina, kind of just spoiled it now, all lead the league with 47 points. And Tampa is number 1. Congratulations. They've proved me wrong. Losing Gaudreau, losing Coleman, losing names blanking. They've been able to overcome everything and just deal with it. Tyler Johnson, others among them. There's one guy I'm thinking of, and I just can't think of it right now off the top of my head. But Tampa has looked incredible these last few games, last 10 or so. Tampa, Washington, and Carolina have been the top 3. Florida in there will make it 4, since they are only 1 point behind those 3 teams. Any of these teams, I'd say, if you're seeing teams that are going to go to the Eastern Conference Final or Final, I'm looking at these 4 teams right here. They've all been unstoppable. Florida recently has looked worse. That's why they're in 4th. But Carolina, Washington, and Tampa, Washington doesn't seem to lose, and if they do, it's not in regulation, so they'll get a point. Tampa has gotten a lot better from where they were, and they've just been racking up wins from the last 10. Carolina, kind of similar with Tampa. They've just been racking up wins, and they're just beating their opponents the way they've been doing since all year. Since them and Florida started off 10-0, so they've looked really good. So yeah, that's really all I have for you guys today. Leave your comments down below on where I screwed up or where you think teams should be. If I've overrated a team, if I've underrated a team, if I don't give a team enough credit. If I'm sorry about a lack of speech on some teams, but we're up to a point where it's no longer early in the season. We see how things are going to play out mostly, unless a team has a major collapse, or let's say Montreal wins 30 in a row, which is not going to happen. But St. Louis 2019, this is the proof that any team can win. Is they were last in the league in January or late December, and they won the cup. So any team can win in this league. Any team can win any game, and the NHL is probably the most parity-full league in probably the Big Four in the United States and Canada, as not the NFL, because the NFL is not in Canada, but yeah, the NHL. That's why I love this sports so much. The physicality, the talent you need, the agility, the type of body you need. You need the work ethic. You need so many more things that you need that other sports don't need. And it's why I don't favor basketball. Basketball, you really need height and to be Steph Curry. Football, you need mental toughness, physical toughness. That's why it's my second favorite sport. And baseball, you just need to know how to catch a ball, as well as spot a 90-mile-an-hour pitch. So, definitely, probably harder for some people to hit a 90-mile-an-hour pitch. But you don't need many qualities that you need in hockey. So that leads to why it's my favorite sport. So yeah, again, leave your thoughts and comments down below about what I've said previously. That's all I have for you guys today. BFR coming tomorrow. Playoff series coming tomorrow. It's Christmas break's getting near to the end. But it's a new year. It's a new way to let's see how this year's going to go. And 2022 is among us finally. So that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.